Hello there. Sorry this is late. It's been a little bit of a chaotic day. Two little ones, under four, up very early. Sorry about that. Okay, so I did post a really long news announcement that you're probably avoiding because, well, your capstones were due last night, and I completely understand that, and you don't really want to think about this. Um, but what I'm going to talk about today is something really exciting. It's a good way to close out the semester. It's much easier. Your final papers, your final work is going to be it's going to be fun, and I think it's going to pull everything together nicely for you. Hopefully, if I've done what I hope I've done, it should pull it together in an interesting way. So I'm looking forward to this. Um, I know you're probably not really thinking about this yet because you just want to breathe for 5 minutes. Totally understand, definitely respect it. Breathe for five, and then I want you to think about this, okay? You have this capstone essay, and it's more of an academic paper. It's something that has pulled from resources. It's something that has culminated in a position paper of some sort with your opinion driving it, with academic sources for backup and various other credible experts. That's one type of an argument, and that's the type that you'll do most frequently in college. That's what you'll do for other classes. And that's why we do that. You created an annotated bibliography that allowed you to gather sources and to think through the questions and to devise some answers. Now, though, I want you to think from the other part of your life, the one that has everyday arguments, real life arguments, the ones that we engage in more frequently than those of the academic sort. Advertisements that you see every day, political arguments, debates, various things that come through on an everyday basis. Maybe you watch TED Talks, maybe you listen to NPR, maybe you read the newspaper. I hope you read the newspaper. You watch news shows, you watch all sorts of different mediums wherein you see argument on a very regular basis. So now, what I want you to think about is some facet of your capstone argument. There's no way that you're going to be able to cover everything that you've covered inside that researched argument in a shorter multimodal recast of your capstone. Okay? Let me say that again. All right, so you're going to take your capstone larger issue, that umbrella issue, and you're going to think about an audience, a target audience that would benefit from hearing some portion of your position, your argument, something that you want to see done based on that larger body of research. And then you're going to design an argument that takes on a different form, not a written argument, not necessarily, but something that employs some other media to convey your position. For example, if you were looking at the heroin crisis, and a couple of people were looking at drugs and the opiate crisis that surrounds us now, instead of addressing everybody or everything as the general paper does, maybe you look specifically at what the court system is doing, like the penalties imposed, or maybe you look at a community's need to respond on a treatment basis. Maybe you want to look at reframing the whole nature of the conversation. So you might want to address, a general audience, meaning like college students saying, hey, help us, let's understand this, let's see what we can do. Okay, so you're only going to take some facet of the larger argument, and then you're going to design maybe it's a public service announcement, a short PSA. Maybe it's a TED Talk type production. Maybe it's a PowerPoint that you would deliver, for example, at new student orientation, incoming freshmen. Here's what to watch for. Here's what not to do. Here's how we want to call this tragedy, this crisis, this disease, this epidemic that's sweeping our nation. However you want to look at it, you might want to do that. Maybe you want to do a poster campaign. And when I say poster campaign, I'm not grading you on art. I'm the worst artist in the history of the world. But your design, like what would go inside that campaign. We see poster campaigns all over the place. Where would you hang those flyers? So you have to think about audience, and you have to think about the venue, okay? So you can't just say, oh, I would do a political cartoon. Well, where would you want that to appear? Do you want it to be on Twitter? Do you want it to be on social media? Where do you think your argument is going to be yielded the most, I guess, or the greatest audience? Okay, so what's going to garnish, bad word usage. Okay, let me rephrase this. What's going to give you the biggest, most receptive audience? Where are you going to make the most impact? Okay, so think a lot about that, and then you design your multimodal argument. You might do a PowerPoint, but how much do you like watching PowerPoints? Are they really effective? Do they move you when you see PowerPoint after PowerPoint? Maybe they do, and maybe in certain environments they would, but a lot of times they don't. Maybe you want to do a podcast, all right? Maybe you want to do something short. Maybe you want to create a Twitter site dedicated to this. I had somebody last semester who she was looking at eating disorders and things, and so she created an entire website to help those who suffer from eating disorders of various types. Maybe it's a website, a mock website that you would create. But the point is, I want you to think about a real audience with a real argument, okay? That's what you need to start thinking of. As you're planning for this, that's not due until Sunday. That's the last thing that you're going to do for me for this class. And then you'll write a little analysis of it, a little evaluation, which is all on the sheet that you have. I want you to take a look at a bunch of existing campaigns, all right? The no smoking campaign, the no texting and driving campaign. Look at them. I want you to take a look and see what other people have done, what they're doing, what works, what doesn't work. So just as we evaluated other found arguments before you wrote your capstone, you're going to look at some other existing campaigns. What do people do? How do they do it? What do they do well? What is not so great? If you're sitting in the doctor's office and you're reading a brochure, a pamphlet on, I don't care, anything, how effective is that? Maybe it is, given that particular environment. All right, so think about that. How are you going to reach your target audience? Who's that target audience going to be? And it needs to be a specific audience. You can't say, just anybody. I'm just going to do this. No, I want to know exactly whom is going to receive this message. All right, so think about that. And then along the way for Wednesday, I want you to identify one campaign, any campaign that you want, and I want you to evaluate it. That's just going to be a homework assignment. I want you to talk about for whom it's being designed, where it appears, how effective it is, what kinds of strategies are used, how the creator essentially designed this particular campaign, and whether or not you think it's effective. Sorry, still have a kitten. So think a little bit about that. That's what we're going to be looking at. Then you're going to be crafting your own multimodal argument. And I've posted a bunch of links. You have to be very careful of copyrights, okay? You can't just go on Google and pull any image you want. You can't use any song you want. You have to make sure that you have some copyright availability. All right, so I've posted some links, SoundCloud. There are places where you can get copyright-free material, and that will work. Of course, the best thing is to do something original, and then you don't even have to worry about infringing on the copyright laws. So I've posted a bunch of stuff in that module that you can start looking at. I know it's a lot, but honestly, this is what we think about when we think about argument. We think about arguments that are more academic, that which you've just completed, which I'll be grading shortly, and then those which are more contemporary, everyday arguments, which we see as well. Okay, so balancing and knowing who that audience is, that's what's key in understanding those types of arguments. We're also going to look at some logical fallacies this week. So I posted a module, and we'll have some fun with those because people fall into these pitfalls of fallacies because, quite honestly, they're pretty effective. If we were in a classroom together, we would have a heck of a lot of fun with logical fallacies because I love them. But instead, you're going to have fun virtually and on your own, looking at some of the materials that I post so that you just have a sense of what happens when reasoning goes awry. And if you've ever taken a philosophy class, an ethics class, you've probably looked at some logical fallacies, probably some more formal syllogisms, but we're going to look at some more contemporary, more commonly committed logical fallacies. Things that ad hominem, attack against the man, all right? I think that, or attack against the person, things that I'm sure you're familiar with. Instead of attacking the argument, you attack the individual, diverting attention, all sorts of fallacies of distraction, and various other fallacies. So we'll look at those a little bit later in the week, just things that I don't want you to commit in your own arguments. Just a couple of updates, if you've hung with me this long. Your blog 4 is due tonight by midnight. I am looking at those. You have to also start thinking about your blog project. That's also posted for you. So you need to take a look and see, basically you're going to choose your top 4 blog entries. You're going to revise them, you're going to polish them, and then you're going to copy and paste them on a document, and then you're going to talk a little bit about your blogging experience, and that assignment is posted. Actually, that's the one that's due Sunday, so your recast is due Friday. Sorry. I know we're out of time. You also have the option to revise one of your bigger papers. Okay, so maybe you got a C on one of the first couple of essays and you know that you can do better than that. As long as the paper was turned in on time initially, you have the option to revise it for a better grade. There's no guarantee that you will get a better grade. It has to be a better paper, and it has to be significantly better. Okay, so it has to be worthwhile. If you are simply going to go in and make a couple of mechanical changes, fix some grammar, some typos, whatever, the spacing or a title, that's not going to get you a better grade. You have to make significant revisions, and you've all taken Comp 1 or the equivalent, so you know what significant revision is. It means really re-seeing, rethinking, reconsidering an angle, or really polishing an essay that was otherwise a little bit sloppy. And then you'll write an overview and another overview wherein you talk very specifically about the changes that you made and why you made them. If you don't do an overview, you aren't getting a better grade. Okay, I want you thinking about this. One of the greatest things about writing is your ability to talk about it, to think about it, to express it. That also helps you grow as a writer. That's why we've tried to look at things from a writer's point of view as well as a reader's point of view, so that you can maintain that balance and understand it. Okay, so in the meantime, I want you to start looking at some existing multimodal campaigns. Take a look at some of the documents that I've posted, at the actual assignment sheet, which of course I just talked about, but just lays out some of the options for you. Think about your audience. Who's going to most benefit? Think about narrowing the scope of your argument. Who and what will you be saying? So think about that, and then take a look at some other arguments along the way, and I think that will best assist you as you go through this next process. Have a fantastic Monday. I will be grading your capstone essays. You can watch for those certainly by Wednesday. I'll be looking at a bunch of, some of you will be getting back very shortly, and since I've already seen the drafts, I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to grade those a little bit faster even than I did the drafts, I'm hoping anyway. So not a lot of sleep, so a little punchy, but I feel like I can do it. So hope you all have a fantastic day. Buckle down. One more week. Just one more week. Hang in there. Have a great day.